Listen, let me preface this video by saying I'm no huge Dodger fan. With that being said, I'm completely baffled by how hard Los Angeles has been railroading the Padres this offseason, as basically every free agent that San Diego has quote-unquote been in on, whether it be Blake Snell, Roki Sasaki, who obviously had limitations but still, or their own 2024 midseason acquisition Tanner Scott, has been aggressively pursued and then signed by the Dodgers. All three of these players could have drastically improved areas of need for the Padres, yet they missed out on them. But you see, it doesn't end there with the players that they've already signed. It's not like LA just swooped in and poached all of their offseason targets. They're also just straight up not pursuing guys with the urgency you'd think they would, based on all the Dodgers' expenditures, including those players that San Diego was never in on, and the Diamondbacks' overall excellence as a young team on the rise. I have to emphasize here, since the 2024-25 offseason began, the Padres have lost Donovan Solano, Martin Perez, Kyle Higashioka, Ha-Seong Kim, the aforementioned Scott, and one of their biggest offensive pieces last year in Jurickson Profar. For those keeping track, that's 6 players from last year that are not currently on the roster. Kim and Profar are easily the most concerning, considering they combined for nearly 7 F-WAR last season, despite Kim missing a sizable amount of games. Yet, we're not hearing about San Diego signing any of the players I just mentioned imminently, with about half of them already having signed with other teams. So yeah, they keep having their A1 targets sniped by LA, which certainly looks bad on the surface, but it's not like they're going out of their way to do themselves any favors either. In fact, there's been quite a few rumors connecting Kim to the Dodgers over the offseason as well, as they do have a need at shortstop currently, where Miguel Rojas is set to take the majority of their at-bats in 2025, who is a player that has been best utilized as a utility man in his career thus far. This would be another killing blow by the Dodgers, but again, San Diego's leaving the door open by not securing any of these players currently on the open market that they really need in order to be competitive. Think about it, all the players I mentioned before combined for over 10 wins above replacement per Fangraphs. That's 10 wins they're going to need to replace at a minimum in order to compete in what is now one of the more competitive divisions in all of baseball, and San Diego doesn't even seem to be remotely capable of doing so as of now. One factor here that absolutely has to be mentioned is the internal rancor that's been going on in their ownership, as Shiel Seidler is currently contesting ownership of the team in opposition to the late Peter Seidler's brothers. This has more than likely created a culture of instability that has prevented any big deals from being offered. However, when you have a team literally willing to spend billions of dollars in your same division over the course of a couple off seasons, there's simply no excuse for not doing everything you can to keep pace, especially when you're fresh off a series that confirmed that they're your most bitter rival, with even LA's own players saying that the 2024 division series between the two squads was almost like their World Series. All I can say is if San Diego can't figure out its issues before the 2025 season begins, which must include signing at least a few key pieces to fill the holes in their roster from the players who've departed, it seems like they'll not only not be able to compete for the division like they were for stretches last year, but also very possibly could fall behind the Diamondbacks and maybe even the Giants, who themselves have had a quietly pretty decent offseason. I, for one, am not rooting for this. I like when San Diego's team is good, and I think that it's really good for baseball to see that atmosphere come playoff time. I guess we can only hope that they can get out of their own way, and not corner themselves decisively back into that little brother role that they've played so often in recent years in the NL West.